Hi my loves, so I'm just gonna be getting my hair ready and like do some makeup and stuff. Just kind of one of those days where I just feel like I need something. If you follow me on Instagram, like the other day I kind of shared a little bit about some birth trauma with Valerie, and I know in my heart that when I was ready for this, that I really did want to share this. I mean, I can't stop that in totality from happening, but if for whatever reason you have found this video and you're watching it, then I hope that it helps you. It's still really difficult for me to talk about it. And I don't think that will ever change. There's an acceptance of it, I guess, but it doesn't ever hurt less. I guess in order for me to like even share the experience would take multiple videos, because you would need to have the same background that I do about biological birth. And so I think that's the only way I can talk about this, is in segments so that it's easily digestible. So today I think I want to talk about skin to skin and the benefits of skin to skin. When your baby is born, ideally they go straight onto your chest. What that facilitates is your baby has been super used to being in your body and hearing and feeling your heartbeat and your breathing and all of these things. And so when your baby is skin to skin with you, it helps them regulate their heartbeat. It helps regulate their temperature. It helps regulate their blood pressure. It even helps regulate their blood sugar. And so when your baby is skin to skin to you, it regulates everything. It's like magic, honestly. Your baby being on the mother's body. Now, they do get some benefits from skin to skin with for your partner or your husband when they do skin to skin, but in terms of like blood sugar, only the mom's skin can regulate that. So there are some differences. I will put them here. What the differences are between having skin to skin on the mother versus skin to skin on the dad. And there are still benefits to the skin to skin with the dad, but ideally the mother. Knowing this fact is important to how everything kind of fell apart with my birth with Valerie. Knowing that skin to skin helps regulate the baby and all of these different, very real, very tangible levels, and helping them be at a normal level when they come earthside. So when they are in your stomach, your uterus, they are having a constant supply of nutrients from the placenta. And so if anyone in the whole world went from eating constantly and then now they're earthside and they are fed every 2 to 3 hours, instead of this constant level of always being satiated, or I can't say that word, satiated, satisfied, okay? This constant level, they now have highs and lows where they're fed, not fed, fed, not fed, fed, not fed. And so what happens is for the first 24 hours-ish, they're still pretty good. They're still relying on a lot of those nutrients from the placenta. They have a few good feeds in. But what happens is the blood sugar naturally drops. And at some point between 24 and 48 hours, it will drop because the body is adjusting again from having constant nutrients to these highs and lows. And so the blood sugar naturally drops and then it comes back up again. Again, a vital piece of information about biological birth. For my birth story experience, you don't want this valley to be too low, because when blood sugar is too low, hypoglycemia, seizures are possible, all these things. What are the actual risks of this happening? The risks of something that happens naturally in every baby. I mean, for me, my intuition tells me that if every baby goes through this valley, and it's only for a short period of time, and then they go back up again, it probably isn't the worst thing in the world for a baby to go through this valley. Right? Because she was a big baby, even though all her levels were good, her APGAR score was good, everything was stable, she was good. A pediatrician who didn't know me, didn't know any of the situation, came in and said, she's a big baby, we would like her to go to the NICU so we can do some additional tests just to make sure that everything's good, everything's normal. And I could hear my midwife in the background saying, Dea, she's fine. Dea, she's fine. Honestly, like, Dea, she's good. In hindsight, my midwife knew exactly how over the top this pediatrician was, and she was trying to advise me to listen to her over the pediatrician. But anyways, just needed to add that in. Clearly, she knew something I did. And the problem is having those two people. I mean, my midwife I trust wholeheartedly. The problem is, as a mother, there is an inherent anxiety or fear. You want what's best for your baby. So I see someone who literally, it looked like it was life or death that she needed to take this baby to the NICU. So seeing her so concerned, it ignited a fear within me, and I said, okay, well, what's the harm in checking? And I consented to that one thing. And that one yes turned into a nightmare. And so that's what we would call a cascade of interventions. So I accepted that they wanted to do a few different tests in the NICU. Okay. That one yes literally ruined our entire postpartum experience, you guys. And again, there was no medical reason for it. It was this person's opinion and fear that led me to saying yes. And it was a nightmare. It was supposed to be an hour. She said, I'll just take her for an hour and she'll be right back in here. That 1 hour led to 4 hours. And so after me discussing the benefits of skin to skin, you can imagine how damaging it can be when the baby is separated from the mother for that amount of time. I can't have her on my chest. I can't have her skin to skin. I can't breastfeed her. I can't do all of these things that regulate all of these levels for her. I did syringe breastfeed what I could, and I sent it up so that she would be fed some colostrum in the NICU, because they were refusing to let Alex hold her. They were refusing Alex to take her back down. Alex could do nothing but sit there and hold her hand, rub her belly, talk to her, do as much as he can as a father to make sure that baby knows someone's there, get as much skin to skin as he can do. But again, there are a lot of things that dad's skin to skin does not help the baby with. So I get my baby back, breastfeeding. They kept testing her blood sugar. And so from my understanding, they admitted a baby to the NICU for no reason. And so they were just looking for a reason. They knew that her blood sugar would drop just as every baby's blood sugar does at around the 24 to 48 hour mark. And I believe that is why they kept testing her blood sugar, even against my wishes. They said, well, her last blood sugar was a little low. When I say low, it was still within the normal range, but it was the lower part of the normal range. And that fact is consistent across the entire blood work that they've done for her. What did they put on the birth registration to cover their own asses for legal reasons? They put that she was hypoglycemic at birth, which again is not true. And if anything, that low point, even though it was within the normal range, that low point just as easily could have been at their negligence for taking a baby away from the mother. Taking a baby right from birth from their mother for 3 hours after being inside that woman's body, feeling the heartbeat, feeling all the rhythms, all of the breathing, and then being totally separated, having no regulation from skin to skin, no regulation from breastfeeding, none of these things. If anything, they were the catalyst for that low blood sugar reading, which again wasn't low. It was normal, but at the bottom end. Taking a baby and not having a medical reason, they needed a medical reason to put on the paperwork. They had to find something, because it is not allowed to take a baby to the NICU for no reason. Why is that? For the reasons I said, because it is beneficial for a baby to be with their mother, especially the first few hours of birth. They went against protocol, which is, at best, it's medical malpractice. This is something they know, and so again, they needed a reason to put on the paperwork. And because of that, rather than seeing a baby that is perfectly healthy and doesn't need any additional tests and doesn't need formula feeding, doesn't need any of these things, they did it anyways. Their own selfish reasons is why they took my baby and did whatever they wanted to her. So this low blood sugar reading initiated a hypoglycemic protocol, which they typically use formula for. Why is that? Because they have contracts with formula companies. I told them, you're not giving my baby formula. That's not something I want. You're gonna do the same protocol, but I'm gonna be breastfeeding her. Okay? If we have to do this protocol, which by the way, yes, we did have to. Once they initiated it, there's no going back. Consent at that point meant nothing to them because they need to do this protocol. They were threatening me. Well, if you don't give the baby formula now, they're gonna shove a tube down her and force feed her. Threatened me. That is not the first person or the only person who said this to me. Another nurse said the same thing. Well, I don't want her to have a tube shoved down her throat and for them to force formula feed her, all these other things. And I'm like, well, you're not going to do that either. I don't consent to it. Like, okay. And then they get angry because they're not used to people saying no. Like, do I have a gun to my head? Are you going to call the cops on me? This is the issue, is actually yes. Yeah, you have no choice as a parent. This is the scary part. Once me and Alex figured out that if we do not comply, they can call child services or the cops or any other things, get legal rights to my child. And so what did we do? We consented, even though coercion is not consent. And we let them give her formula, and literally she was fed a bottle of formula against her will. She was vomiting it up. She was full because I had been breastfeeding her this whole time. And after the formula feeding was her first drop in blood sugar. Why is that? Because formula does not have the properties that breast milk does. It does not have the capability of regulating a newborn's blood sugar. Breast milk does. Natural biological birth and postpartum does. Absolutely nothing like that exists in formula. And once that happened, they decided to tell me that my baby was going to die of seizures if I did not consent to them putting formula up her nose into her throat, which again, she screamed the entire time. This is violence. Like, this is child abuse. This is Canada. Okay? This is Canada for you. You cannot tell someone no, because then they become violent and hold you medically kidnapped. Like, we were stuck there. They would not clear us. Like, as I told you before, blood sugar naturally drops with any baby and then goes back up. And around 36 hours, 40 hours, something like that, her blood sugar naturally started to go back up again, which is what biologically happens no matter what. But again, they just needed a reason to put on all of their paperwork. And so because of their own selfishness, my baby had to go through something traumatic. Me and Alex had to go through something traumatic. And they lied on the birth registration. And on top of that, they tried to say that an OB delivered my baby, which they did not. I have video evidence that that is not the case. And so I called them. I called the hospital and I let them know, I have video proof that this is not true. I want you to change it for the birth registration. And I told them everything that happened, and I ordered all of the blood work, every single test they've ever done. Again, completely healthy baby. Even the low one was like 0.1 from a normal level. Only one blood test. One. And it was the one after they gave her formula against our wishes. After my first birth, I really tried not to radicalize myself. I was still convinced that, oh, this doesn't happen all the time, and it was just a bad experience. It's unfortunate it happened to me, but in general, like, they know what they're doing at the hospital, all these other things. But when you understand biological birth and you understand everything that leads up to something like I do, then it becomes something else entirely. And you cannot catch me in a hospital ever again. It's difficult for me to talk about this, obviously, but I think it needs to be said. I've had 10 months to sit with it, cry about it, have nightmares about it, and I think it's important to share. If you have watched this entire thing, then like I hope that this helps you understand how one little thing can change everything in regards to your birth, in regards to your postpartum experience. Yeah. There are also little other things as well that happened, but that one's the biggest one. So yeah. On top of all this, the reason that nurseries were created so far away from the maternity wards is because formula companies paid to create them so that babies could be formula fed away from their mothers, and the mother's supply would never come in and they could make more money. And when you know these things, it's really hard not to be radicalized. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. If I touched on anything that you've never known before, please let me know. If anything I've said has let you down like a spiral in the internet, I would also like to know. I would love for everyone to be informed on birth and medical malpractice and consent and all of these things. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching, and I didn't get any makeup done. It's hard for me to do anything when I'm talking about this stuff. It consumes my entire being. So this was your skin to skin / breastfeeding / blood sugar lesson. Yeah.